Hello and welcome back to Tommy's Top Picks Weekly Roundup podcast, episode 143. I'm your host, Tommy, joined by John.
How's it going?
Good. We celebrated a birthday this week. John is 1 year older.
I'm an old man.
We got together. We played some draft. We'll talk about that. Caught up, hung out, had a good time.
Yeah.
And we're also going to be talking about some magic stuff, I'm sure.
Yep.
Going to be talking about, is any sorcery stuff you want to talk about?
I will absolutely ramble about sorcery because I've been trying to build decks for the past couple days, so It's all in my head.
Yeah. Cool. And I think we only briefly touched on it, but I want to talk about more in depth the collector box thing coming to Star Wars for the 4th set.
Yeah.
I think we touched on it very briefly, but I
don't know if you actually gave your opinions on the pod. Yeah. We had chatted about it previously, and I don't think we actually talked about it on the pod too.
Right, so that's why I want to bring it back up.
Fair enough, yeah.
But how was your week? What did you play?
It was good. I played just the draft with you and the commander with you. Everything else I didn't get to, which is fine because it's a busy week. Traveling next week, so it's all get everything in place for leaving. So kind of crazy time frame right now. But yeah, so we played. What did we do? Winston double masters.
We did Winston double masters. That was a wake up call.
That's a crazy draft.
So John and I have, if you've been listening to the podcast, John and I have been playing a lot of Winston recently, just different sets here and there. Mm-hmm. We've done March of the Machines. We've done Phyrexia. We've done Murders. We've done. What else?
Maybe you just march a couple times, honestly.
March a couple times.
Yeah, and then
we have a bunch of boxes ready to go for other sets.
Yeah, well, we were working our way through the mom set, and then I think I brought the Phyrexia because I wanted to try it or something like that. I definitely brought the double masters because I really wanted to try that. The super expensive packs, you never get to draft those.
No, and it was different. It was funny because every time the first pile was picked so many times because we were like, oh, this is a really good card. Oh, this is a really good card. Oh, this is.
Reset your expectations when playing because everything is way more powerful. That's how they do it.
It's a very different Winston draft experience.
Yeah, it was fun.
Oh, it was absolutely fun. It was a ton of fun.
3 color is the archetypes in that, and with the cheat sheet or whatever that they give you.
Yeah.
Which was tricky, I will say. I don't think I got there on that. How did your deck? Because we only ended up playing one match. I was a little sad about that because I'm pretty sure it would have been, how our matches go. It's like one person wipes out, then the next it can be even or wipe out or whatever,
Yeah, a lot of the theme cards that I built around, I didn't draw into.
Yeah.
So
did you feel like your deck was mostly on the 3-color theme, or were you kind of all over the place? Okay,
I could have chosen between 2 different 3-color. So it was green, blue were my 2 definites, and then I could have gone red, black, or white, and I chose white.
Yeah, that's where I got screwed
up. And I probably
my cards.
I probably should have chosen red.
Yes, because it was free. It was open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I got the what is it? What is that card?
Oh, the Smothering Tide?
Smothering Tide, yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, I guess I should play that.
Foil. Yeah.
Even though it's not really a draft card. I was just like, I really want this in my deck. So
I mean, it was the only thing that gave you a chance. I'll tell you that.
Exactly.
Because without that, you had no mana for what you're trying to do.
Exactly.
So it did work.
It did work.
I played the black, green, white because I pulled one of the characters, like one of the 3-color legendary.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a +1 counter theme. So I was like, okay, this is kind of the signpost. And that was one of the themes. So I tried to go for that. But by the time I was shifting to that, I think Tommy had already taken all the good white cards. And I ended up with like +1s and prowess, which is not a +1 mechanic, and something else, maybe just generic cards that were good. My pile was okay, though. I had enough creatures. I feel like I had a good set of interaction. I didn't have all the interaction I would have wanted. But I had a good set of interaction. I was able to clear your board a little bit. And then the copying mechanics that showed up, and I don't remember how I did it, but I did it a couple times. I guess it was just part of certain mechanics. There's like a doubling capability or whatever, or maybe I know. Oh wait, never mind. I think I'm mixing this up. I'm mixing the doubling up with the copies in the commander decks we played next. But I did have a lot of critters out by the time we ended it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just don't remember how I got there. But anyways, it worked, and I beat Tommy squarely in the one round we played, which again, it's the best of 3 format for a reason.
Yeah.
So I kind of wish we had the time to play all 3, but I enjoyed the commander we played. So
that was fun. We did the Fallout decks.
Yeah, the precons, everything but Mothman.
Yeah,
I played Caesar. He was fun. I actually like him more than I thought I would.
I played the Doggo.
And your wife played Science.
Mm-hmm.
And Tommy crushed us.
just because someone wanted to end the game and played the card that brought all the artifacts back out onto the field. Which was my entire graveyard. That's true. That definitely, I could just re-Voltron.
That's true. That is actually what ended the game.
Yeah, it was looking that way.
It was
getting late.
The board wipe happened, and everyone was like, "Oh, we're starting over." Basically,
I did 2 board wipes in a row.
Yeah, that was an unwipe.
Yeah.
Which ended it. Yeah. That was fun. I enjoyed it. I liked Caesar. I did not think I would. I don't typically like sack token decks.
Yeah.
It's not my favorite type of mechanic, but it was fun with him. It was more entertaining than I thought it would be.
Yeah, that can either go really fun or really feels bad.
Oh, really? What's the feels bad?
Oh, just like you don't have the thing, so you can't even do the thing, and like you lose your tokens, and then you don't have another generator, and then all your things require.
Me that way once, right? Yeah, you took out my tokens. I'm like, well, I'm just kind of sitting here. Yeah, what was it like? Choose one thing and kill everything else, or something? Was the card?
Yeah. It was single combat where everyone selects one creature that they control, and then no one else, or then all other creatures die or are sacrificed, and then you can't play another creature until the end of my next turn.
Yeah, which was crazy for a momentum swing.
Yeah.
That's how Tommy won the game. We didn't realize it at that point, but that is how Tommy won the game.
Yes. Yeah. No, that was fun.
It was good. It was a fun time. Did you play anything else? Did you play anything this week?
I did last night play 2 drafts of Duskmorn on Arena.
Cool. Yeah.
I did a red-white and a red-green. Red is wild. And
isn't it always?
No. It wasn't in Bloomborough. I mean, there are some nutty red
mouse. Yeah, I was gonna say, wait a second.
But that's rare in limited.
Yeah.
You're not.
I get.
Yeah,
I get you. Don't see it every time.
Right. Exactly. The consistency. I like the red-white over the red-green. I'm trying to think if I have. There was a couple cards that really stood out to me. One was I ended up with 4 of them. The Hardened Escort. Whenever Hardened Escort attacks another target creature you control, gets +1 and gains Indestructible until end of turn. It's a 2/4 for 3. So decently statted, defensively statted. But if you get a couple of them out, then they're all swinging for 3/4s Indestructible.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I did notice it's a slower format in all my games. The first one, I got 4 wins. The second one I haven't finished yet. The one I got 4 wins in, it was all like there were no like. It was rare to see someone drop something turn 1, and then a little more common to see someone drop something at turn 2, but typically people weren't dropping things till turn 3. It's a
Gotcha.
very heavy curve. A lot of the low cost stuff, it is not creatures.
Right. Well, that's good. After the last set, which was pretty fast, right?
Yeah. And then this Seized from Slumber card in white. It's 4/1, or it's 4/1 white. This spell costs, it's instant. Spell costs 3 less to cast if the target is a tapped creature. Destroy target creature. So for 2, destroy tapped attacking creature. So
that's
pretty easy
pretty
removal
good
in
combat trick. Yeah, exactly.
With it being in common too. And then Trapped in the Screen. It's an enchantment. When it enters, exile target artifact, creature, or enchantment an opponent controls until Tapped in the Screen leaves the battlefield, and it has Ward 2. So not only do you need an enchantment removal, but you need to pay the Ward 2 to get.
Yeah.
And then it grabs artifacts, creatures, or enchantments.
That's gross.
And it only costs 3. Where's some other ones? It's really just the commons and the uncommons, because I didn't really end up grabbing that many rares.
Gotcha.
But I mean, the rares I saw, I was just like, this is not helpful at all.
Yeah, for what you're doing.
Or just for limited.
Oh, I see.
In my red green that I haven't finished yet, and I haven't seen the card yet come out, is Chainsaw. That is one of the rares I grabbed. When Chainsaw enters, it's an artifact equipment. When it deals 3 damage to up to 1 target creature. And then whenever 1 or more creatures die, put a rev counter on the Chainsaw. Equipped creature gets +X +0, where X is the number of rev counters on Chainsaw.
I like that. I like that theme.
So just whenever anything dies, it gets bigger.
Rev counter.
And then Fear of Burning Alive. It's a 2 red pip, 4 colorless enchantment nightmare creature, 4/4. When it enters, it deals 4 damage to each opponent. So obviously kind of commander. But once you have Delirium, which is 4 different types of cards in your graveyard, whenever a source you control deals non-combat damage to an opponent, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, Fear of Burning Alive deals that amount of damage to target creature that player controls.
It seems pretty good. A lot of setup there, but if you have a
I noticed
deck, it's not too bad.
Yeah, Delirium never really. I got close. I got 3 of 4 a lot, but I never really.
It's tricky unless you're building for it.
Yeah.
I know that because of DSA. This is why I did the little tour of different mechanics to kind of learn how easy it is to do different things. And the types in graveyard thing, I think in total there might be 12 types, but realistically there's like 5.
Yeah.
Like in most decks, there's like 5. There might be 6 if you're pushing it, but you just don't usually see that many of the other ones. One of them is called Tribal, I think. That's one of the technical types.
Okay.
And it's just like, it's used in like 10 cards in the entire Magic collection. You know what I mean? Like they're they say there's 12, but really, unless you try, it's hard to come across them. Doors are enchantments, right?
Yes.
Okay, so they're still under the same type structure as
rooms. Yeah.
Rooms. That's it.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I did play one. So I played out and figured out how that mechanic works. Basically, you pay for the one, and then you can pay for the other, and then you both have both active. Usually, the second one is like a permanent effect. Kind of thing. Yeah. Like, and so I played Glassworks and Shattered Yard, where you pay 2 in a red whenever you unlock this door. This room deals 4 damage to target creature an opponent controls. And then you can pay 4 in a red at the beginning of your end step. This room deals 1 damage to each opponent. So again, more of a commander kind of thing. I didn't feel the need to upgrade it, but because 1 damage a turn in limited is kind of useless. It's
fine. It's just not enough turns to make
not when you're paying 5 mana. That's a do
Oh
nothing.
yeah. That's a 5-turn payback at minimum, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, that's not. You're not going to get there.
No.
Is the answer?
Yes, correct. And that's after being on at least turn 5.
Yeah. That's a no play situation.
Yeah.
Sure.
But another cool combat trick that I was picking a lot was turn inside out, which is a 1 red. Target creature gets +3/+0 until end of turn, and when it dies, manifest dread. And manifest dread is look at the top 2 cards of your library, put one onto the battlefield face down as a 2/2 creature, and other into your graveyard. Turn it face up at any time for its mana cost if it's a creature card.
Manifest is fun mechanic. I tried to build around that. That was when I did the Animar disguise deck. Slowly morphed into Manifest. Slowly morphed into just Eldrazi. Why bother with any of this?
Yeah.
It's like it just kept getting more and more efficient and led less and less the original theme.
Yeah.
It's like this thing doesn't do any of the things I want.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's neat.
Manifest is cool.
It's a neat set. There's a lot. I still I'm only on, like I said, I'm on my second draft, so barely scratched the surface. But there's a lot of text on these cards compared to Bloomburrow.
Oh yeah. Okay, gotcha. I was like, that's been the case for a while.
Compared to the last draft I did.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah,
well,
they
not
did
compared
a bunch
to Double
of new
Masters. Double Masters has way more text.
It's all the badass cards. Like that's how it goes.
Yeah. But I do have a box of Dustmorn, and we will play Winston eventually.
Cool. Yeah, I'm down. That will be fun. I did play a Commander game. I think this was last week, and someone played the Duskmorn Commander that taps to lock a door again.
Oh.
Yeah. It was neat. It was very slow. They knew it was slow. They were like, yeah, it's a cool mechanic, but to make it really good, you got to do some shenanigans to make it really good. And then it's starting to get towards a like infinite combo world.
Okay.
You have to do things that allow it to untap on your turn. And because it's sorcery speed. So to make it really go off, you need to get your board filled with rooms. You need to have a untap mechanic structured that you can do it multiple times, right? Which is tough. It's not hard to do. Like there's Umbral Mantle and was it Soul Monolith and one of the other things that cheats into mana basically will allow you to do it infinitely. So you could literally just unlock and lock all your doors forever. Which is kind of fun. But again, like when you get there and make that optimal and efficient, then you just are playing CEDH, like a lame version of it at that point. Because it's like, oh, I got there and I just hit you with all these effects a million times and then you lose.
Yeah.
But it was interesting. He did not seem to enjoy it without the because it was slow. And I talked to him. I was like, well, there's a combo where you can basically untap and do it a couple times at least, like based on mana ramping. So you'd have a high mana curve and do it. And he's like, yeah, but just the setup to get there. And he's right, because it's like those doors are expensive to get out. And then what are you getting out of them? To do it 3 times instead. Like, so it's only really worth it if you go infinite on it. And if you're doing that, then you're not really playing casual anymore. So.
Right.
My God. So one thing I wanted to talk about a little bit. Rudy mentioned that a old card spiked.
Yeah.
So Tolarian Academy.
Think it has anything to do with the professor?
No, I don't think so. I think it's spiked because it's mana that gives you a lot of mana. It's
just the next best card to fill the ban cards.
I think it's a way to not have mana crypt be a thing or be a concern if you are playing blue. Yeah. It's the blue version of more mana for cheap. So it's for every artifact you have, you can get it. And it spiked. It's up quite a bit recently. And he was saying basically, don't think this is reserve list because it is a reserve list card. He's like, don't think that this is reserve list coming back. I'll let you know when that happens. I don't think that's what this is, right?
Yeah.
So I think we are seeing cards that are basically, I think what we said is happening. You know, the CEDH players are re-brewing, and then they're finding key cards that are useful, and then they're, you know, that's the situation. You know,
yeah,
those cards are spiking. So it's interesting though. It's like 127 heavily played, $127 for a heavily played copy, and I think just a week ago it was like 80. So it definitely jumped.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if any copies will be put on here because it is reserve list. Like there are not that many out there.
Yeah, like what happens when it's not just refilled because the price went up.
Yeah, it's it may just keep climbing over time. But he gives good advice, and I'll repeat it. If you want it and you love it, feel free to grab it. Don't get it because you think it's going to go up forever, because it's not going to go up forever, and it will take a long time for it to be meaningful return.
Yeah.
And like,
if
you love it, like if you're like, I love Tolarian College, right? The professor or whatever, and I want it, so I have that card. You know, like there's reasons to have it as a collection piece, but don't speculate on it. Do not spend your credit card on it. You know what I mean? Don't leverage to get there.
Yeah.
But I thought that was interesting because it is like we're seeing the market kind of jostle and jiggle based on the bans and the news, and then the news of the news that now WotC has it, and no, we're not going to unban those things. So now I imagine Mana Crypt's probably going down now, just because it was going back up because people thought for a second they would unban it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen. So we're just seeing a lot of jostling in the market over all this, which is, you know, amusing and interesting to watch, but not, you know, not super important, especially
based on emotion.
It is based on emotion. It'll be interesting to see where it lands. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just not throwing any chips in.
Yeah, me neither. Yeah, I might buy Sarah. God, what's it called? Sarah's Sanctum.
Okay.
Because I actually have that in a deck, but I have a proxy, and it's in the same range. It's like $150.
Yeah.
And I just want it, and I'm kind of worried the same thing happens to it, and then it jumps to 300. And I've wanted it for a while, and I've held off on getting it for a while, and I want the actual card. You know what I mean? It'll be a damaged copy. It's not a spec. It's for my deck.
Right, and that's just different. That's just being a wise consumer.
Yeah, but that's one
buying
of my
something you want.
Yeah, it's
buying something new invest in. Yeah,
key card for one of my fancier decks. So
yeah,
should get the real thing. But I probably won't. I'll probably stick with my proxy. Cool. Anything else on Magic?
That's all I got.
So, what is going on with Star Wars?
Yeah, interesting things. So before we go into the collector stuff, let's take a look at where the 3 boxes are at right now, because we do have Twilight of the Republic up for pre-order.
Pre-sale, yeah.
So the current box, the first box is exactly $200 plus $2 shipping right now, cheapest price on TCG Player. Shadows of the Galaxy is at $81.78, the second set. So we did get that kind of small wave still coming in for the first set. It didn't really do much at all. It was at like 202, but like the price really hasn't moved that much.
Yeah.
A couple boxes, it did start selling at like 180, 190, but it seems like we're back through that. Like we've eaten through everyone who wants to just let that go. All the stores that want to just get that off the books, right? So we're back up at, oh no, it's the banana stand at 205 is the
always the banana stand.
The $200 one is 0% new story. But then Shadows of the Galaxy, we're all the way down at 81, which was kind of like the low early set 1 price, right? But set 2 doesn't have the cards, the playables, the high demanding price cards that set 2 does. So that makes sense that it's a lot cheaper. But that is a very good thing for the growth of the game, which means that these boxes, set 2 is now sitting on shelves. So when people go into the store and want to buy something, they can. And then we have set 3 pre-ordering for 94, which is good because set 2 was pre-ordering for 120, if I remember correctly. So with set 3 coming out November 8th, so we're a little under a month away. I do think this set will have more hype, just being around the Clone Wars and target demographic and age of players. Pre-orders did, when they first came out, people were trying to get $150 for them, and obviously the demand isn't that high. So it came down to 94, which is an attractive price for the box, honestly. If it does actually change the meta, which I think it will, because it's well, I said that about the second one. But the mechanics introduced and the strength, very few cards actually made it in that are valuable. Like, I mean, commons and uncommons can make it in, sure, but that's not going to move the price of the box.
Right.
But a lot of the bigger cards aren't seeing play, and a lot of the showcase cards are not holding up as well. Let's see if I can take a look here. Cards. Yeah, I mean, even the expensive showcase, like the collectible side, things are coming down. Like Leia's 400, Boba Fett's 500, Han's back down to 250. Even the Mandalorian, which like I thought would be a high price card, even though he's not that playable, is 225. A lot of the showcase cards have come down, which is interesting. Which I don't know if that's just because more got added to the market or there's just less demand for it. The high-end collector stuff.
It's probably a combo. I mean, you have the saturation, you have set 2, set 3. That always happens with set 2, set 3, right? There's like the pullback.
Yeah.
We've seen this with a ton of things. So yeah, I mean, I think it's normal. I don't think it's too crazy.
No.
You haven't been to the shop in a while, right? Is it still going strong?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. I haven't been, but I'm in a text thread chat.
Yeah, I figured.
With people. And yeah, there's multiple stores where it's going strong.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I was curious what the scene is, because that's going to be more indicative than the markets at this stage. You know, if the shop is still full and people are still excited to play it, then that will carry it through a dull market because the new cards aren't that exciting yet. That's fine. You have to have kind of baseline setting of mechanics, right? You know?
Yeah.
And so some sets are just going to be boring because their mechanic really isn't fully realized yet, but will be by set 7. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just how it goes.
Right.
Especially for something playing this far into the future. Not all games are that well designed.
Right. And this kind of the sign that you have that demand is definitely still there is the box 1 still being $200, because we have to remember it hasn't even been out a year and MSRP is 120.
Yeah, that is good.
So it did dip down, but
collector box, given that your collector cards are dipping a little bit.
Yes.
What do you think?
I think it depends on a couple things. Are there versions? Is it just you get more higher chances at fancy cards, guaranteed fancy cards kind of a thing? Not the guaranteed, but like instead how showcases are 1 in 12 regular boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So what if showcases are like 1 in 6 collector boxes kind of a thing? Like they're just more common. Like what does that do to the regular box? I think what this is going to do is the other boxes are going to sit around. I think it's going to push down the price of the play boxes, the draft boxes. But again, it also just depends on how much they print of it.
Yeah. So, well, I think their printing philosophy is pretty clear that they're going to print until people have it.
Yes.
All right. It may take some time and logistics and stuff, but it seems like we want everyone to have access to the product sort of mindset.
Yeah.
So maybe the collector box is the other side of that. It's like, if you want to have
stuff out? Do they take stuff out of the draft boxes?
Yeah, that's fair. Well, you know what it's probably going to be is just a whole lot of the fancies. You know, does
Yeah.
it say? Does it say what the
No,
product actually
no.
is? Okay, yeah. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. If they print it in low waves for the collector box, make it actually collectible, it could be awesome
Yeah.
because it's basically the high end lottery ticket with the high end winnings, right? Like the best of the foil hyperspace cards. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot of probability of getting good ones. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's tough. It's tough until you see how it's constructed.
Yeah.
Because it could be a total flop or it could be amazing depending on how they put stuff in there.
Yeah. But
Is it only cards for this new set? Do you know?
I would
Okay,
assume
it's
so.
not. Okay, there's no reprint policy.
I know.
They could reprint the other ones, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely they could. Yeah. No,
So it could be like your Vader and your like the really hard to get ones from the first set and the second set. If they did that, like that's super hype.
But it's just they name the box is the name of the next set.
Oh, okay. Then
which is what makes me think. If it was like if they did like collector box 2024 at the end of the year and it it was like a master set kind of thing where it had the best cards of the year. I don't think it's doing that. Because it has the fourth set name on it.
Gotcha.
And little tidbit in it is I think it's Darth Vader's TIE Fighter on the front. Which may mean our first space hero. So like instead of your hero going into the ground unit lane, you have a hero that goes into space.
I never thought about that. That's interesting.
Could be pretty cool. Could shake things up in that like now your power swinging into space.
Yeah.
And now decks have to deal with that.
Yeah, because they like space is probably somewhat ignored because it's not like aside from key factors, it's not where your hero goes. It's not like you build around the hero, right?
Yep. Unless your hero's like a aura kind of thing that like Leia's is a rebel. It doesn't matter whether it's in space or ground when you attack.
Got it. Yeah, that's an interesting dynamic.
Yeah. So that could be cool. I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this next set.
Well, Clone Wars collectible seems like a smart move.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like that alone, like knowing nothing else, just knowing those two facts, like that's not a bad play.
Yeah. Because the Clone Wars was made fun of for years, but the kids that went and watched it in the theaters and that was their first Star Wars experience,
I don't even know. Yeah,
they love it. It's nostalgic. They're approaching their 30 years of nostalgia for it, and 30 years is the trigger.
Yep. So yeah, I agree. I never got it. I never got into it. I tried a couple times and never really stuck with me. But I know so many people that are like, it's amazing. But
his M count is off the chart.
Yeah.
Did you hear about that?
No.
In the new Disney stuff, instead of midichlorians, they call it an M count now.
Oh.
Because there was so much pushback on midichlorians that they now just call it M count to try and hide it, but still refer to it.
That's so weird.
But yeah.
Anything else in Star Wars?
Little shill for Tommy's Top Shelf Comics. Star Wars is, if you're interested in Star Wars and have any interest in comic books or have wanted to start, Star Wars comics are rebooting. We are ending one story and starting another. So there's going to be the best jumping on point in multiple years is about to happen. I think it's either this month or next month, or bridging the two. And you'll have to go to Tommy's Top Picks or Tommy's Top Shelf to find out what it actually is, because Murphy actually knows. But we're choosing a new. Han will be out of Carbonite. He's been in Carbonite for the past couple of years in comics. And I think it's between. It's still within 4, 5, 6.
Oh, the timeline you're talking about?
Yeah. And it is coming this month. It's starting this month. So this this new series will be set after Return of the Jedi. So if you were ever wondering what happened after the Return of the Jedi, you can read in comics.
There's a lot of stuff. So that'll be a good time period.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I've been diving back into the world of comics, and it's been that's what I enjoy about comics is when the longer you step away, the more exciting it is to come back.
More content.
Because a lot of these books, they come out once a month. You get 22 pages a month.
Yeah, it's terrifying. Like I couldn't do it, honestly. That's why the only comic book world I ever really lived in was the paperback, book
ones that are already done.
Yeah, they made it into a whole book. Yeah, that's the only thing I ever touched.
Yeah,
and enjoyed them. I really did love those because you could actually read the whole story and not have to wait. I do not have the patience. I am a binger. I need to binge it. Like I can't do this 22 pages and wait a month. I will forget the whole thing by the time the next episode comes out. I'm not good at that.
I have evolved into a binger. Yeah. For many years, I don't need sleep. I need answers. I need to get to the comic book store on Wednesday. I need to come home. I need to know because people are going to be texting me Wednesday night.
Next cliffhanger. It is cool though. Like it's definitely a thing.
Yeah. Like when I was in college, it got to the point where like people were texting me Wednesday night my opinions on comics that came out that day because they knew I read it.
Yeah, that's funny. Before we jump off of Star Wars, I just want to update. I'm still playing Outlaws. So now they are just about to get their whole money's worth on me because I've been playing it long enough that I'm going to end up paying the whole price. Which, good on them. Enough content that it's actually kept me engaged.
It's not like you're going to go back and play it again.
It's a very fun wander around, run into a mission, do the mission, go do this other thing. Because there's a lot of these... because there's the factions of the gangsters factions, right? Yeah. And you have standing with them.
Yeah.
So one will say you have to go to this place, but it's like inside one of the gangsters' fortresses. But if you're not in a good standing with them, you really should get in a good standing. It'll make it easier to get that mission done. So you go and do a mission to get in good standing for them. And then you go in there and that all, they just play off each other. And then like you do one thing that pisses someone off, that helps another one. And then you have to reset different things. It's fun if you're happy to wander around a Star Wars, galaxy and get into trouble. It's a lot of fun. And I am basically all combat build now. I rarely sneak unless I really have to. And it's not often that you have to anymore. In the beginning, you definitely do. So if you don't like that, they'll turn you off early. But I'm still loving it. I'm like really holding back from doing the main quest because I don't want to finish the game. I'm having that much fun. So anyways, just thought I'd throw that out there because I know it's game got a lot of heat as being terrible, this, that, and the other, and I'm enjoying it. So they hit me right. They hit my demographic correctly. So
nice.
It's fun. Yeah. So Arthurian Legends.
Yes. Have you played it yet? Have you played anything?
I have not played it yet. I have been building in theory crafting with someone that plays it or we're going to play when I get back from Ireland. I did order a bunch of singles, about $200 worth, which is essentially all the ones under $1 that were like elite or unique that I didn't have, plus a handful of ones that were like double digits, like 10 to $20 basically, that I wanted for a specific build that I'm building. I have 2 decks half built and I'm struggling with it because I really want to do like a 4-color, like 4-element knight deck, so I can use all the knights, but there's massive weaknesses to doing that. But I want it to work, damn it. There is an alternative win con. There's a site that says if King Arthur and Guinevere are at this site, you win the game. So it's like one of those ways you can kind of cheat win, which is hard. Very hard because they're unique cards. They're 1 out of 50 cards each, and you need 2 of them. And they both have to be on that site to win the game. So that means that site can't be destroyed by your opponent, which is relatively easy to do. You have to pull into both the site, which is, I think it's an elite. No, yeah, it's an elite. So you have 2 in your deck, and you have to pull into both the uniques So very rare win con, but I kind of want to build like Knights of the Round Table because there's all these little knight synergy things, but they're just, while they're good, they're not that good. Not good enough to make a functional deck. And I just think about some of the decks I played against because the person I'm playing with likes spell slinging, and it will just get wrecked by a spell slinger deck. Like just 100% will not function against that deck. So I am trying to refine my knight deck down. I will say I am increasingly tempted to buy a case and crack it and sell singles and keep foils and stuff like that because I like the art, I like the foils. It'd be nice to have a few more cards because there's stuff that I don't have that I kind of don't want to buy the single for. It's like if I get it, that'd be awesome. If I don't, that's okay. But opening the cases makes sense, at least did with the other one in the beginning. And I think if I wait too long, I'll miss the opportunity to be able to make the money back. Two factors that play into that. The price of the case on TCG Player, don't take this as true because it's not, dropped down to $4.99 plus 24 in shipping, right? So like $5.25 or so, which is $87 a box, which makes it EV positive to crack them. Reality check, it's a 0-star rating. The next highest is $6.74 plus $10 shipping. So it's like, yeah, that's a ripoff and not true. If that price were real, if this helps set the market because people don't click on things and they just see the low price and believe what it is. If it gets to that point, I would probably buy a case. Until then, though, it's not for me. $6.74 is too expensive because I don't think the EV works in that case. And Team Covenant for a case is $7.74, so that's even worse. So we'll see. I think I'll be patient and wait a little bit. I don't think this one's being mass opened like a lot of others. So the rarer cards are not showing up. So the prices of the singles are crazy for some of the exciting, cards, which is also why I don't want to buy them because they're like really expensive for the good cards. That's why I was just like, I'll buy anything under $1 because it's unique, it's rare, and I only need one of them, and it's under $1. Like, buy it, So I just bought a ton of cards. I just got all of them too. So
nice,
fun set. Seems interesting. Can't wait to play. Very looking forward to it. Not as easy to build as I had hoped, which I think is probably good for me because it makes me keep go back to the puzzle.
Oh yeah.
As opposed
that's
to
what
feeling
card
like,
games are about.
Yeah, it's like it doesn't feel solved or easily solvable, right? It's going to take some play testing and some tweaking and some more play testing and some more tweaking to get to the balance point, which I think is fun for me. The Knights are actually pretty awesome the way they did them. They are usually 3 or 4 threshold, which means you have to have that element out multiple times. And they are all 2 colors or more. Well, not all of them. There's a few that are 1 color, but for the most part, they're 2 colors or more. So they lend to 2 color building. And if you do 3 color build, this is the thing I keep trying to get to. I tried the 4 color build. It's basically impossible to make a good deck the way as far as I can tell. The 3 color build is attractive. The 2 color build is a little too simplistic and not enough knights. So like you might not even see a knight because there's so few. And if you're building around the knights and you don't see them, then kind of defeating yourself. So now you're just building like an animal deck with some knights in it or whatever, right? So 3 color, you get enough knights where it's like you're gonna pull a knight, which one, et cetera, is the question. And then balancing it becomes hard because you don't know what elements you're gonna end up needing for the particular knight and how many, because they're all varied. Like it'll be 2 water, 1 fire, 2 fire, 1 water. And then if you do the 3 color, you have all sorts of other combinations of things. So it is fun to build around and mess with it, but I have yet to find a satisfying answer. And my opponent is very insistent on sticking to a mono color, which means he's going to be very efficient compared to me.
Yeah.
This makes me very nervous about doing this. I'm like, I don't know. I think maybe I keep going between 2 and 3 colors. Like I've rebuilt this deck like 6 times. It's ridiculous. And I think I'm going to get my butt whooped. That's why I keep rebuilding it because I'm like, okay, make it a little tighter, make it a little better. But what if I do this? Maybe that will do the thing. But it's fun. They got some really cool cards. A lot of theme stuff, Round Table, Camelot, Avalon, all these things that very flavorful. I mean, the game's just, that is the game, is flavor. And it does seem fun to play with knights, but this is very much a supplemental set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
this is not within itself self-contained. Here's a deck. This is here's some stuff to add into decks that you already have going. I don't want to do that. I want to make only knights. It's not working very well.
When does the next like true set next come out?
No
next
one knows.
set come out? No one knows. No release date or anything.
Once a year. That's the general gist. Maybe twice a year if we get lucky and they push it forward, but it doesn't seem like it's going to happen that way. There's a chance that it's relatively soon, just based on an observation that a lot of the artists from the first set are not featured in this set, meaning they're probably working on the next set during this whole period and are expected to produce a bunch of art for it. I do know they have a bit of a commitment to the art side of it, that it, like, when it's done, not pushing deadlines and stuff. I imagine they have like rough deadlines, but I think a lot of the production is literally based on like when the artist can complete the art, because they want hand painted art. You know?
Right.
So that is important to give them the room to do the creativeness they need to do, which is what makes it beautiful and fun and like nostalgic. It has all these factors that plays into the whole feel of it. So I'm okay with it, honestly. I think I'll get some good games out of this and then set it back on the shelf until the next set comes out, which is fine by me. Like, I don't need something every week. I'm okay with that. Magic gives me something every week.
And then some.
Yeah. That's it. Oh, one interesting data point. This set in the pre-release sold more than Rosetta. So the supplemental set for sorcery, and the 30 days leading up to release ended up selling more than Rosetta, and I think they did a sale for Rosetta, didn't they? Didn't TCG Player do a sale? Maybe not. Let's say no.
Star City Games did.
Okay.
They always
do. Yeah, but that wouldn't be on here. So that
I feel like a lot of the fab purchasing actually does happen at LGS's and at like the Star City Games pre-order kind of stuff.
I could see that, and that might be what takes away from TCG Player. So it's not an exact perfect science or anything.
With sorcery, what are your options?
No one buys on here.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, so the numbers should be lower.
Okay, so never mind.
Yeah, because everyone buys from like Team Covenant or their LGS. Right. Like everyone I know actually bought from LGS. I'm the only one I know that got from Team Covenant.
Yeah,
because I have the subscription thing. Right. Like every set, I'll get 2 boxes or whatever thing going. Yeah. So curious.
And Rosetta was supposed to be supposedly is like selling out like crazy, and
selling out. Really well. It means they adjusted their print runs. You know.
Sure. Yeah.
To something more reasonable, which is
good.
But
still, demand is demand. And number of boxes is number of boxes.
It is.
That's not great.
That's crazy. It's a little crazy.
I would have expected Flesh and Blood to be, especially Rosetta with all the hype around it, to be.
Agreed. I was shocked when I saw that. So it's a thing.
Yep. That's why I'm just rushing back to Flesh and Blood.
I can see that.
Man, last weekend, I mean, it was fun playing last weekend, but there's just so many feel bad matchups, especially for Warrior, and it may just be a Warrior thing.
Come on, lay out your salt. Let's go.
It just, when there's uninteractive, like, no, I get it's the way you build your deck, and you can build your deck differently, but you don't build your deck around one opponent. Like, you can build sideboards around it. But, like, the main mechanic of Warrior is to use your weapons. And using your weapons and not attacks just can make some matchups so lopsided.
Yeah.
Where it just doesn't. I don't know. It's like the old Prism thing or the current Victor thing where it's like the clashes.
Yeah.
And it's just, it punishes you for playing Warrior.
Yeah, well, and that's how sideboards work. But I
this
feel
whole
like
sideboard would need to be at least 6 attacks.
That's what I was just about to say. It's like, if you think about it, it happens because of the class rock, paper, scissors. There's almost always going to be a class that's just kind of like shunted to the side.
It's not even a rock, paper, or a scissors.
Exactly. It's out of the circle.
It's Play-Doh. It's Play-Doh.
Yeah. Sure.
Gets beaten by rock, paper, and scissors.
Yeah. How does paper beat Play-Doh, though? That's the question.
Wraps around it just like it beats rock.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, that's fair.
You can clean up the Play-Doh with paper.
But yeah, I think that's just how that game is built.
Yeah.
You got to play everything. You can't just play one class, Tommy.
No.
I know.
No. Nope.
I know. And that's true. That's how most people feel about it.
Yep.
So
it
might be relevant.
Just got to wait for Warrior to come back around, and then I'll be back.
So quick numbers just on that comparison.
Yeah.
Release plus 30. So it's like all the data of Arthurian Legends, because it's only been a week. Not even a week. Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, about a week. And
Rosetta's been out longer.
Rosetta was released 9/20, right? So it's got a couple weeks in. So it should have a little bit more sales data essentially. And that comparison is 1,100 boxes of Arthurian Legend and 886 boxes of Rosetta. $70K for Rosetta in dollars and $132K, so almost twice as much for Arthurian Legends. It's been out less time, so that's crazy. That's crazy. Maybe once a year is pretty good.
Yeah, as long as you can stay on State of Mind, because then my concern with the once a year is the set comes out and everyone's moved on or isn't playing. Yeah,
I mean, that is the question. Although literally everyone I know that played before has reached out to play again. So
right, and so maybe
it's a small population. Don't get me wrong. It's a small group of us that want to keep playing.
No, I'm saying it's a chance. Each time is a chance for that to happen.
There is a very viable fall off,
but it can also have the effect like World of Warcraft has when an expansion comes out. It only happens once every 2.5 years. No, that'll
rushes back
to it. Everyone rushes back, even though there are patches that come out, major patches that come out every couple months. It's when the expansion comes that everyone's like, "Oh, I'm back."
Yeah.
So maybe the 1 year,
it off this way.
Maybe the 1 year works in their favor, and they're like, "Oh, I'm back. I'm tired of Magic right now. I'm tired of Flesh and Blood. I'm tired of Star Wars."
Yeah, it is a very different game experience too. Yeah. So with the grid and everything else, it's the replayability on limited cards way higher.
Like you play 2 decks against each other in Sorcery, and you play 2 decks against each other in Fab. You're gonna get a lot more mileage out of Sorcery.
Oh hell yeah! Like Fab, especially if it's a bad matchup, you will. You will be done in like 1 or 2 matches.
You'll figure that out and be like, "Oh, I can't interact with this mechanic."
Yeah, cool. Sorcery, you're not really going to have that problem. Like even a good deck against a bad deck, you can have weird stuff happen. A lot.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it plays. I wouldn't mind if they got to 2 sets a year. I think that would be fun. But I'm fine with 1 set, honestly.
Or like 1 draft and 1 supplemental.
Yeah, that would be my ideal. But again, I'd rather them keep the quality. Yeah, like focus on the general mission, which is quality art and game, and just do what you can with that, and then I will be happy. I'm sure.
Yep. Cool.
Yep. Anywho, that's all I got.
That's all I got. So until next week, we'll catch you guys later.
Have a good one.